Another video for MathPace 1091. I want to look at page 18 and following and explain to you, give you some tips for copying angles. And let's talk first of all about using a compass. Okay, so a compass is used for drawing circles because you can anchor the metal point on a piece of paper, and then just by holding this tip up here, you can twist the compass around and draw the circle. Now sometimes, like it just happened there, it lifted up briefly and it moved the point, okay? So let me give you some tips that will help in drawing circles. Number one, make sure you have a protractor like this. Excuse me, I keep calling them protractors, compass. You don't want the cheap plastic ones that if you shake it like this, the pencil just swings in the breeze. Some of them you can actually tighten with a screw. Those are the best, okay? They're a little more expensive, but these metal ones are good if they're tight, okay? So I have to really pull to get this to move. That's what you want, okay? Let's talk about holding it on the paper. The distance between the pencil and the metal point is going to represent the radius of a circle, okay? And so you anchor that. The other thing is make sure the pencil point is very sharp. So if you can remove the pencil and put it in a pencil sharpener, a dull pencil is going to make your work very hard to see where the lines intersect, okay? So the sharper the better. Keep pulling it out and sharpening it, maybe like every day. It helps if you put the piece of paper on top of another book, like your pace, okay? And I would recommend doing some of these projects even on separate paper and staple them in. It's just a lot easier than doing them on the little spaces they provide in the pace. So again, that might be helpful. So I find it helpful to hold not the tippy tip up here, but to hold it along the side, or even to hold this edge like this. Okay, then I can put more weight into the tip, into the metal point. And then I like to lay the compass sideways, okay, rather than standing it up, because sometimes it skips along when it's like this. Kind of lay it and then twirl, okay? See how I have an arc there? Another tip is, and it's kind of hard to do this in the air like this, if I had it on a table it'd be easier, but is to hold it and then rotate the paper underneath the compass. So you're holding the compass just at an angle, and you twirl the paper underneath it. Do not hold the compass like this, because what's going to happen is while you're trying to spin it around, you're going to accidentally be squeezing and making it smaller and smaller, okay? All it takes is that happening a teensy bit one time, and your whole diagram is going to be off. This is a very exacting science, okay? So when you're measuring from tip to tip and you get an exact distance, we don't want to grab it and change it at all. It's got to stay that distance for the next part of what we're doing, all right? Now I'm going to talk about how to copy an angle. So remember we drew these two angles earlier, and now I'm going to copy one of these down here to a line that I drew. Let's go through the steps. First of all, I'm going to put the metal point right here at the end of the one that I'm going to copy. And sweep an arc that intersects both of these lines, okay? Then I'm going to come back and put the metal point on the very tippy tip end of the other line and make an arc that intersects that one and goes as far as I can on the other side, all right, and further than you need to. So now this arc, this distance, is exactly the same as this. So this is like a radius of a circle, same radius here. Now here's where it's important to measure the distance. I'm taking the tip, holding it where it intersected here, and then I put the tip of the pencil right where these other two lines intersected. Okay, and now keeping it exactly that same distance, I'll put it on this line and intersect there. So all I have is a wispy little intersection of these two arcs. The last step then is to take a pencil, a protract, a compass, whatever, straight edge, and I'm going to connect. And when I connect where they intersected here with the end point, I have an angle that's exactly the same. Let me do it one more time, this time on the whiteboard, and using, I have this angle. I'm going to copy it down here to this one, and I have to do it with string to make it bigger, so I get a certain distance, and I don't want it too close to the tip here. All right, take it out as far as you can, it'll make it easier. And then I sweep an arc across both of those. I come back and keeping it the same distance, I put it here and sweep an arc. All right. Then I'll measure from this point with the metal tip and go right up here to see where it intersected. Okay. Keeping it exactly that distance, I go here and sweep an arc. And then the last step is to connect this endpoint and that intersection. And now these two angles are the same. If you were to measure them with the protractor, they would be the same number of degrees, okay, or within a degree of each other. Again, keeping the pencil sharp and being very careful and exact will help you get your diagrams correct. We'll come back. There's dissecting, okay, a line segment, or rather bisecting, and then creating two that are perpendicular to each other. So I want to talk about that in the next video.